Hello and welcome back to the old realms, and we're here once again in a siege. Now, of course, what the most important thing going forward is going to be for us is, you guessed it, leveling our gunpowder skill. If I can actually get that to 300, we're only 1 point away. We're only 1 point away, so we are not that far at all. And if we can get that, it is going to turn every single one of our gunpowder using units into absolute killing machines. Or at the very least, that is the hope. Because at that point, it is going to make it so that they are able to penetrate shields. They're going to be able to basically just do amazing, amazing things. Obviously, you also have to bear in mind that they don't have access to the career tree as far as I'm aware. I don't think that regular units use the career abilities. I could be wrong about that, of course, but I'm actually not entirely sure whether they do use the career options. If they do use the career options, then that is absolutely incredible. And that is actually really, really cool. Because that means that they have penetration through multiple enemies as well, which actually makes a huge difference in itself. But yeah, anyway, let's see what we can do here. I'm obviously going to get a little bit better at using my mortar and a bit better at placing it as well, because in the that damage, Elspeth absolutely murdering everything. Okay, that was fantastic. Okay, yeah, anyway, so basically what I've done is, in the previous episode, I didn't have particularly good success using my mortar, mostly because I wasn't really, I was placing it too close. I was placing it too close to the walls, and it was making things, well, not very good. So I'm very much hoping that we're actually going to be able to do something with it this time. I mean, as you can see, the mortars don't seem to be getting used, which is somewhat disappointing. I do want to enter into a field battle as well, because if you missed the previous episode, we actually did get a demigriff. And, well, I actually have a bunch of demigriffs in my inventory at the moment, hilariously enough. And I was actually kind of hoping that maybe we could use that to just run down a huge amount of skeletons. And look at that, look at that. Our mortar is actually doing some damage. This is fantastic. Look at that. That is amazing. So hopefully they're going to be able to... you know what? I think I made a mistake placing this too close to the edge, because this guy isn't actually able to do anything now. As you can see, he's not actually able to turn it, and people... yeah, and as you can see, he's not actually able to get his ammunition. But if we were able to, as you can see, we're actually doing some damage. They are doing some pretty good damage. Unfortunate that we can't actually make use of that now, because I have placed it too close to the edge, so we can't make use of both of them, but... oh well, never mind. You know, it happens, alright? You know, sometimes using these kinds of things, you're gonna have to be a little bit, you know, gonna have to get used to it. Especially, you know, what is the most efficient way of placing down a cannon, or placing down a mortar in this case. And that's kind of the biggest deal there. Now, I would like to try and find the most, you know, most amount of units so that I can actually do some damage with my firearm here. That would be amazing. That would be really, really good. Unfortunately, it seems as though they're making things a little bit tricky for us right now. And also, I don't know whether you've noticed, but I think that's actually another thing that is really quite fantastic about the vampire troops. They actually don't provide a huge amount of experience. So theoretically, you're actually starving your opponent of, well, upgrades. You're actually making it, if you play as vampire and you're only using, you know, skeletal units and lower tier Sylvanians and so on and so forth, and you just try to overwhelm your opponent with numbers, which is probably not, I mean, that's not really the most efficient or the best way to play, but you can do that. And then theoretically, if you were to be defeated, or you were to, I don't know, lose a huge amount of troops, that actually isn't gonna do much to you, because, well, most of your units are going to be providing such a small benefit of experience when they are killed. So technically, that is another thing to bear in mind. You know, if you've actually played a game like, for example, if you've played Dota, or if you've played anything like that where there's a system that allows you to deny your opponent experience or deny your opponent gold, and in this case, obviously, it is more about reducing the amount of experience that your opponent gains, then that actually makes a significant difference. Because if you think about it, I'm gonna say right now, just think about this. Highest tier peasant units for Empire, they're probably gonna give more experience than the highest tier of, for example, skeletons. At least I think that's probably gonna be the case. I could be wrong. Obviously, I could definitely be wrong because I have not tested that. I don't have experience gains shown on the screen or anything, so any kind of analysis is obviously thwarted by that. But I personally feel like that is the case because every single time we go into one of these sieges, we've basically only got, you know, Sylvanians, and we've got some skeletons. As you can see, huge amounts of skeletons there, and they're all really low tier. And even if I'm able to get a huge amount of their kills, even if I'm able to kill them over and over again, even if I'm able to get, I don't know, 500 of these kills, it's not going to give me that much experience in comparison to, for example, if I were to fight Bretonnia. You know, if I were to fight Bretonnia and for them to have a majority of knights, well, obviously knights, they're obviously going to give a massive amount of experience, but if I were to fight peasant troops, then obviously that's a very different thing. Anyway, as you can see, it is exactly as I anticipated. The enemy is deciding to besiege our fief that I took in the previous episode, and they have probably over 4,500 troops here. I'm going to assume. Yes, they have 4,300 actually, and they're actually attempting to take this. Yeah, I'm actually not going to go in there. I'd love to, don't get me wrong, I would love to, but you know what I'm going to do instead? I'm literally just going to try and take this. This is going to be a, I think this is probably going to be absolutely impossible for us to do. Well, I don't think it's going to be impossible, but it's definitely going to be a lot harder than it should. Technically what I'd like to do is get the walls down and so on and so forth, but I don't think I'm actually going to be able to do that. I don't think I have enough time to do that. And obviously you have to bear in mind as well that we are also at war against another faction at the same time. We are at war against two different factions right here. So, yeah, that's obviously a big problem. I would love to be able to propose making peace with Talabekland, but unfortunately that is not going to happen, as you can tell. This guy actually declaring war against us right now was probably the worst possible timing for him to do that. And I definitely wasn't expecting it, but yeah, he definitely caught us off guard, and now I am in a really, really sticky situation, and I'm not best pleased about that, to be honest. Really not very pleased at all. I'm actually quite surprised that he decided to do it in the first place anyway, because usually the AI is not actually very, yeah, shall we say, forthcoming about their aggression. They don't really try to be aggressive. They're kind of a little bit more like, yeah, you know what, we're gonna just do the stupidest thing possible. That's usually what they try to do. But in this case, no, he's actually being very smart because he's waiting for us to go into an engagement with a relatively even opponent in the form of Sylvania. And he's taking advantage of the situation very, very nicely, in fact. So we have to give him props for this. We really do. Anyway, hopefully I will be able to, I'm going to place, oh, wait a minute. This is a, okay, this is a very interesting siege. You know what? I don't think I'm going to be able to do anything here. I don't think my mortar is going to be able to do anything here. Oh, Elspeth going absolutely crazy with that. A massive amount of damage. No idea what she's actually using initially, because it seems like she just completely stops doing any damage after the initial bombardment. So I'm actually quite surprised about that. Anyway, I will place my mortar probably here. Is this good? Probably not. To be honest, probably not. And we'll place one round about here, I guess. I have no idea whether this is actually going to work. I mean, we need artillery crew to come over here and actually man them. I don't think they're actually going to even do that, to be honest. I guess the best thing for me to do is just to literally climb the walls and just go shooty shoot. Because that's it, you know. Shooting McShoot face. That's kind of what we want to do, you know. So hopefully we'll be able to do it. We've already eliminated a pretty significant amount thanks to Elspeth. Hopefully that's going to be enough to be able to actually get us onto the battlements, because there's always those moments where you initially start a battle, especially in a siege, where that initial bombardment is extremely important for making headway in this case. And look at this. Look at exactly what's happening right now. These guys have the worst shields known to man, and yet they are able to block me. Oh, that is very frustrating, I have to say. That's the reason why we really do need to get our gunpowder skill to 300. It is going to be an exceptional benefit to us for any number of reasons, in actual fact. And, well, obviously it also provides us with penetration for our own troops too, as well as myself. So this is going to be really, really important. So, yeah. These state troops, for example, they are literally not going to give me any experience at all. They're going to give me, I don't even know how much. I haven't had experience gains on for an age, so I have no idea how much experience normally is gained from even the base game troops. It's been such a long time, I really have no idea. Okay, yeah, these guys are actually proving themselves to be quite annoying, so I'm actually just going to turn into a sniper now, I think. I'm probably just going to stand back here. I have a huge amount of ammunition. I might as well just stand back and just murder them as best as I can. Because even if I don't, you know, get my own forces onto the battlements, that's not really that necessary. The only thing that's really necessary for me right now is leveling up my gunpowder skill. I know, that's very selfish. But in actual fact, me doing this is actually contributing to our victory overall anyway. So even if it is selfish, it is still giving my forces something in return. You know, I am contributing somewhat to it, even though it may not be the most effective way of doing it, which would probably be to go in there. I don't know. Actually, you know what? Would it be effective for me to go in there with a two-handed? I don't know. Probably not, actually, because if I go in there with a two-handed, I'm probably just going to end up dying anyway. Nice triple... Oh, actually, not a triple headshot, but a double headshot, triple kill. Yeah, I love the penetration of this weapon. I mean, obviously, when you are able to actually use it, yeah, it's absolutely fantastic. Yeah, I'm just going to go for the... Oh, well, there you go. Body shot. That's fine. And we can just kill this guy. This guy's... Oh, he's using a ballista. Oh, that's very funny. Ah, yes. I'd love to be able to use this ballista against someone else, but unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to do that. You know how it is. Okay, let's just shoot that guy. Oh, no, never mind. Alright, so where are the... Ah, the enemies are all the way over here. Okay, so what happens if I go up here? No, not much. Well, that's a bit problematic, isn't it? I kind of want to make it so that we go through here. Can we push them back? Friends? Can we push them back? I actually don't know. No, this is not really working out too well for us, is it? Yeah, I'm going to have to just shoot them, I guess. There we go. Shot a couple of them, but that's not really going to do too much either, because there are just so many of them in this tight space. It's really preventing us from moving forward. I'm actually quite surprised that we're taking so long to move forward here. These guys are just peasants, and my forces are pretty high tier, or at least they should be. Most of them should be high tier, so quite surprised. Anyway, I did end up shooting one of my own forces, but thankfully he has such good armor on that he's not going to really die from that. My forces are still deciding that they're going to get themselves in my way. They do generally tend to do that quite often, don't they? Yes, they tend to just stand there and be like, yes, I'm going to stand here in front of you while you're attempting to aim. Yes, that usually happens, doesn't it? Yeah, that usually happens. It's very, very funny. Anyway, we should be good here. I think I am actually at 300 gunpowder skill. I think I noticed that we got to 300. Ooh, that was close. Okay, did you see that lag right there? I actually thought that was a crash. That was close. Okay, I hope that we're not going to get one, because this is a pretty important siege, and I did not save before we came in here, so I'm now in a situation where I'm not particularly pleased. Oh wow, did this guy literally just shimmy? Yeah, well, there you go. He's dead now. Yeah, he just shimmy dodged me. I mean, really, he might as well be a part of the Matrix or something like that, because literally he was just able to avoid everything. Or I'm just terrible. I mean, that could also be the case. Ah, there's the gunpowder skill being 300. Okay, nice. We actually got to 300 finally. Okay, that's great. Really wish my mortar would actually do something in this particular level, but it doesn't. I'm just going to shoot these guys. Yeah, I actually don't have a huge amount of ammunition remaining, surprisingly enough. Well, wow, this is... Okay, I'm actually not entirely sure how we're supposed to do this, to be honest. There's a lot of enemies, and our forces are just not really able to do much at all. I guess I just have to continue firing here, and that's all I can really do. This is my contribution. There we go. Nice. Nice. Get more damage, more damage. I'm actually wondering whether I need to go a little bit closer here. I mean, the fact is, if I go closer, I'm going to get focused, and that's kind of not what I want to do. I really just want to get these guys away from the battlements, because if we can get my own forces onto the battlements, it's going to be easy for us to win. So that's the main deal here. If we can just clear out the battlements and then have my forces actually do something. I mean, you can see here that, look at this guy. What is he doing right now? Why is he just standing on the ladder, not doing anything? Okay, that's not really conducive to victory, sir. Look at him. Look at him. He's just standing there. He's an inner circle demigryph of the blazing sun, and he's literally just like, no, I'm not gonna move. Not gonna move. That's the reason why we're not actually achieving victory here as easily as we could have, because we have people like that just standing there. AI, very, very good, isn't it? Yes. Okay, well, that is not very good at all. I've told them to charge, by the way. I have told them to charge, and you can see exactly what's happening here. Not very good. And look at him. Okay, well, just gonna shoot you, sir. There we go. He literally was... oh, no, this guy's now stuck too. Oh, it seems like, I don't know, it seems like this this pathfinding of this particular ladder is not working as it should, I guess. I'm not entirely sure. There must be some issue with it, potentially. Not entirely sure what, but yeah, there seems to be a problem with it. Anyway, we've eliminated around 400 troops. I think we need to eliminate 600, right? So, I'm not sure whether I'm going to be able to do that, but we can just try our best. That's all I can really do, you know? That's all I can really do. So, let me just see if I can maybe kill as many as possible. I mean, obviously, we now have our goal achieved, you know, our goal of getting 300 in gunpowder skill. These guys are so incredibly good at blocking now for some reason as well. As I said to you before, I am not a big fan of that. Generally, peasants shouldn't really be able to block you so dramatically well. I mean, look at this. This is literally an armed peasant that is fighting me right here. And you can see just how incredibly effective they are at blocking. I just don't think that they're going to be that good realistically. And they are just like, yeah, you know what? I'm just going to block absolutely everything that you throw at me. And that's generally what they tend to do now. In this version of the game. And yeah, sure, you know, I wouldn't mind it if they do have a little bit more scalability, because I think scalability is actually a really important thing in regards to, you know, feeling progression. Because, for example, just think about this, a demigryph knight, for example, right? that is, in my opinion, more capable, or should be more capable with, you know, combat skills, blocking, dodging, you know, all that wonderful stuff, rather than a peasant. I don't think a peasant and a demigryph knight should have the exact same ability to parry. But that is exactly how it is right now. Obviously, notwithstanding the amount of, you know, proficiencies and the differences between those proficiencies and so on and so forth. Obviously, that's completely different. But what I'm saying is, like, I mean, you can see here, these guys are literally just, you know, like, they're just blocking me, and they're armed peasants. Obviously, not every time, but of course they're not going to be able to block every time, but it just feels bad, man. You know, that's exactly what's going on here. It just feels bad, man, because it's just like, well, they're not really supposed to be able to do that, I feel. The peasants shouldn't really be that effective in comparison to, you know, higher tier troops. Ah, and there's the victory. Okay, I'm actually really pleased about that. We did end up losing quite a few troops. 181 renown is our reward, though. Very nice. We can take a bunch of prisoners. Do I care about taking prisoners right now? Sure. I think people are going to be upset if I don't take all the prisoners, so why not? We might as well just take them. And I'm not going to sell them or anything like that. I'm just going to be putting them in the garrison. But the main problem with doing that is that if this town gets taken, then all of the prisoners are going to be absorbed into the enemy's army. And that's also a reason why generally I tend to prefer not actually taking any of the prisoners, because they do have that added benefit then. So that's a bit of an issue. Anyway, we're just going to do this. We're just going to keep the Empire troops as much as possible. Not these fellows. Not these fellows. There we have it. Okay, that should be fine. Oh, donated. Oh, are you serious? Ah, okay. Okay, so I can't. Okay, well, that's absolutely useless. That is absolutely useless. I thought to myself, yeah, you know what? I'm just going to donate some prisoners. No, you know what? I can't be bothered with that. They're literally just going to waste them or something, and it's just going to be like, yeah, no. There's just no point. So instead, I am just going to be selling all of the ones that I don't particularly want, and we'll keep the rest, and then we'll move on. Okay, we'll keep these guys, sell those, there we go. Okay, so that's 6,000. We did get 2 points in roguery, which put us to 101, which is actually quite nice. Let's go for gunpowder skill. Finally, look at this. Your shots ignore 50% of enemy armor, and troops using gunpowder weapons penetrate shields with their shots. So wait a minute. Do I penetrate shields, or is it just troops? I'm actually not entirely sure now. Alright, I was talking about penetrating shields this entire time. I can only hope that I am correct about that, but I could be wrong. I actually don't know. Anyway, projectile deflection we have here. I've got to admit something real fast. I have never done this. I have never deflected projectiles with two-handed swords by blocking. That is something I have never ever done in this game. I'm not sure whether that's because the usability of the particular skill or the particular perk is abysmal, or whether it is just something that I have never thought of doing, because, well, I mean, just think about it. You know, how likely is that actually gonna happen? You know what I mean? It's like, it's a very unlikely situation, and so maybe my mind is just like, no, that is not something that we can do, even though it is actually something that we can do in this game. So maybe that's a thing. That's also a bit of a funny little thing as well, basically, to sort of have a discussion about, because a lot of people, when they talk about Bannerlord, they're going to be thinking to themselves, yeah, this is realistic, you know, this is realistic. This is a simulation of, you know, medieval, a fictional medieval land. And yeah, absolutely, for the most part, yeah, sure, absolutely it is. However, as I've spoken about quite a few times in the past, we have a bit of a suspension of belief sometimes, because, for example, this perk right here, You can deflect projectiles with two-handed swords. Now, I'm not entirely sure about you. I'm sure there have been people in the past that have been able to do this in real life. But from my perspective, who is actually going to try to do that in a battlefield situation? In a medieval situation? I don't know. Maybe a few people, I don't know, but how many in general? I just don't think that this is particularly realistic. Obviously, you know, we're playing, you know, a fantasy mod at the moment, but this is obviously a base game perk. It's actually nothing to do with the mod itself. So I feel like that's quite funny because a lot of people are, you know, consistently saying stuff like, oh, you know, the realism, and everyone's, you know, talking about the realism and stuff like that. Especially when it comes to various other things like what I decide to do and, you know, whether it's realistic for me to make so much money in smithing, for example, or doing a bunch of tournaments or whatever. And then they all of a sudden suspend their belief when it comes to, or should we say, suspend their suspicion, or, you know, their realism focus when it comes to these kinds of things, which I find quite funny because it's like, well, how are you, you know, just selectively deciding to, you know, do that? I don't know. It's always very funny to me when that kind of thing happens. Anyway, this is now under siege again. I'm actually not, I really do not believe I can besiege this and actually win. So what I'm gonna do is I will go over here. We're entering the cursed land. Am I still entering the cursed land? No, I'm not in the cursed land any further. Alright, so we're kind of swapping right now, but this is very much necessary. This is necessary for a variety of reasons. If the enemy continues to besiege, they're going to continue losing a lot of troops every single time they do that. They've already lost 400 troops. And if they continue to do that and they're going to besiege again, they're probably going to lose even more. Now, I would love to be able to do a siege defense, but I was kind of hoping that maybe their cohesion would run out, and then maybe I'd be able to do a siege with, I don't know, 2,000 troops, or maybe 2,500. I'm thinking right now that anything more than that is probably not going to be doable. Or, you know, even if I would want it to be the case, I just don't, I don't have a lot of faith in the Empire units at the moment. I feel quite, not weak, but I feel like I personally don't have too much of an impact on the battle in comparison to my previous characters. Because we don't have a really, really large way of dealing damage. Like, for example, yeah, we've got some artillery, but we have to rely on AI to actually use this artillery and to use it well. And that's the main problem here. It is not within my control whether these mortars actually are effective. And while I would love for that to be the case, because I think that it would be super fun for us to be able to choose in an overworld sort of fashion, RTS kind of fashion, where the mortars actually aim, I think that would be super cool. Obviously, I don't think that that is possible with the engine. Maybe it is, I have no idea. But I think that that would definitely improve matters greatly. Because then you would be able to basically decide, yeah, you know what, I want the mortars to focus on this particular area. And then you're going to be in a really good situation, because then you're going to be like, whoa, yeah, I've decided that this is where I'm going to deal damage, and if I fail to kill anything, then that's just that's my fault, you know? That's my fault. But as it stands right now, as you can quite clearly tell, it is nothing to do with my own decision making. It is all to do with whether the AI is competent enough to man the mortars appropriately. And that's it. It has nothing to do with me, myself. And that's exactly the reason why I personally feel like at least providing the player with some kind of choice. Obviously, I'm not talking about the modding team here. This is more of a case of, well, what can you really do, you know, from an engine perspective or from the base game perspective, because if you think about, you know, you think about the AI in general and them using ladders or them using siege towers or battering rams or whatever, they're always a little bit unreliable in that regard. They're never usually super proficient at those things, and especially opening the gates. You know, we've seen them do that multiple times where, you know, we're trying to like get into a place and they're just standing there. They're just standing there at the gate, and you're just like, what, why aren't they doing anything? You know what I mean? Why aren't they doing anything? It's just kind of weird. And that's the kind of thing I'm talking about, more than anything else. But I think it would be cool if we could actually target where the mortar goes. I mean, you can see here, look at this. You see that guy right there? Just standing there, and then he all of a sudden moves. This guy, look at him. He's just standing there. He's not doing anything. That is hilarious. Okay, yeah. So that's also the kind of thing that I'm talking about. The AI does tend to be a little bit weird when it comes to climbing ladders, which is, well, not very good in general. Is there someone down there that I need to shoot? Yes. Got him. That was the one guy, and this is exactly what I was talking about in. Was it the previous episode, or was it this one? I'm actually not entirely sure. I can't remember now. But basically, you saw. I think it was the previous episode actually, where I was talking about there was a guy, you know, or I was checking between the gates because I thought to myself, oh, there's probably going to be a guy in there, and he's going to prevent us from completing the siege, you know, because that kind of thing happens almost all the time. There's going to be some guy that gets himself stuck in between the gates, and then we're going to be unable to progress to where we want to be. And I think I always think that's really, really funny. I mean, not in a funny haha fashion. I mean, kind of, I guess, but more of a case of, oh no, this again. You know, that kind of deal. Anyway, not able to recruit any people here. I'm kind of hoping for a peace agreement, but I don't think that's actually going to happen anytime soon. I'm actually kind of a bit, I'm not entirely sure if we can make this work. I guess we will. Can I actually call for a peace agreement here? Yeah, we can call for a peace agreement. We're going to pay 9,000. I would like to make peace with these fellows. I would like to make peace with these fellows. Can we actually propose this? 26% chance. Really? Why? I mean, we're only paying 9,000. I don't think that 9,000 is actually a huge amount because this faction is so incredibly small. We would be able to eliminate them very, very easily. Well, never mind. Okay, I guess we'll just leave it the way it is then, and we'll see what happens, because I'm going to assume that this very, very large army is going to come over here and attempt to besiege this, possibly. So, yeah, let's actually see what happens, I suppose. But yeah, anyway, this is what the map looks like right now. I would love it if... Oh, really? Why is she not doing anything right now? Why is she not doing anything? She's literally moving to Hermsdorf. Where's that? Here? Why are you going over there instead of going to actually protect our town? I have no idea what she's doing. She seems to be letting us down quite a great deal here for some reason. But anyway, that is going to be it for this episode. I thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.